In The Conjuring 2, audiences were terrified by the eerie events surrounding the Enfield Poltergeist, a paranormal case that rattled Britain in the 1970s.
How many voices are there?
600.
Yes, the case was real. And the strange spine-chilling events that happened inside that small house in Enfield, North London, still defy explanation to this day. The Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most documented hauntings in paranormal history. From the eerie voices to objects moving on their own, the case became a media sensation, drawing attention not just from curious locals, but from paranormal experts around the world.
Recorded in a bedroom after the family had gone to bed, the reactions of the Hodgson children to some very strange occurrences seemed totally genuine.
But what really happened inside the Hodgson family home? And why does this case continue to captivate and disturb us almost 50 years later?
For me, personally, it's the same amount of openness you have with someone that's had a deeply profound religious experience.
To understand the terror of the Enfield Poltergeist, we have to go back to where it all began, with a frightened family and a series of events that will leave everyone, including skeptics, questioning reality.
They were even more baffled when two of their beat constables reported seeing an armchair levitate across the Hodgsons' living room.
It's August 1977 in Enfield, North London. The Hodgson family, a single mother, Peggy Hodgson, and her 4 children are living in a modest council house on Green Street.
At the moment, the children are being looked after by relatives because Mrs. Hodgson is ill in bed.
Life was already difficult for the Hodgsons, but they were about to face something that would change their lives forever. The strange occurrences began innocently enough. Knocking sounds, furniture shifting slightly, and small disturbances.
One of the first manifestations was when Lego bricks began to fly at high speed around the living room.
But soon, these unexplained events would escalate beyond anything they could have imagined.
I'm 44 and I've never witnessed anything like it before in my life.
There's something going on beyond the grasp of the human mind.
One night, Peggy's daughter Janet, just 11 years old at the time, told her mother that her bed was shaking. At first, Peggy thought it was just Janet's overactive imagination. But when the sounds and movements continued and became more violent, Peggy knew something wasn't right.
Peggy was on her own, so she came in to us, because it wasn't her. She came in, we sat together and we heard it. And I counted how many knocks and there was 14 altogether. And it's doing it again now.
The family reported loud knocking sounds, furniture moving by itself, and even toys being thrown across the room with no visible force behind them.
Violent things I've seen happen are the furniture moving, the furniture being thrown upside down. In fact, one night I was standing here, there were about 11 or 12 people in the room in front of the settee, and the settee went straight up in the air and turned upside down, right in front of me, no more than a foot away from me.
In one incident, a chest of drawers was said to have slid across the floor, seemingly pushed by an unseen entity. Peggy tried to push it back, but to her horror, it moved forward again.
But to create all the bizarre effects that went on in this house either involves a gigantic conspiracy with the neighbors or a disruption in our laws of mind and matter.
Word of the haunting spread quickly, and soon the press arrived. The Daily Mirror was one of the first newspapers to cover the story, and their initial report caused a sensation.
If this is a hoax, it means that some of the 17 people who've seen things have been playing an elaborate and twisted joke on the others. If it isn't a hoax, it means that either those 17 people have all been having hallucinations, including the police, or this is the best documented ghost story of all time.
But it wasn't just the media that took an interest. Maurice Gross, an investigator from the Society for Psychical Research, arrived at the home, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery.
I'm invisible.
I'm invisible.
You're invisible? Why are you invisible? I'm a G-H-O-S-T.
Because I'm a G-H-O-S-T.
Shortly after, another investigator, Guy Leon Playfair, joined him.
God, that coward.
Don't you ever get a sore throat, Janet?
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
You never get pain in the back of the neck or something?
No.
What they witnessed would shake even the most hardened skeptics. Over the course of the investigation, Gross and Playfair documented over 2,000 incidents of paranormal activity. Objects would fly across the rooms, strange knocking sounds would echo through the house, and voices, deep, guttural voices, would come from Janet, even though her lips didn't move.
And there's Janet, one of the girls. She's been just sitting on a chair and she's been thrown completely across the room.
There's a child's chair. I bet it weighs about 10 pounds, padded one with metal legs.
One of the most unsettling aspects of the case was Janet's apparent possession. She would speak in a raspy voice, claiming to be the spirit of Bill Wilkins, a man who had died in the house years earlier. "I'm Bill," the voice would say, recounting details of Wilkins's life and death that the family could not have known.
I've never been able to forget that voice. He called himself many names, but mostly Bill.
Bow, 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 the pub. Check is down the street.
This voice is coming from an 11-year-old girl.
Was Janet truly possessed by the spirit of Bill Wilkins? Or was it something else? Something darker?
Goose chasers here.
Talk like that for 5 minutes or so and you're going to start doing damage to your throat. And yet this voice used to speak up to 3 hours at a time, without the girl showing any distress at all.
As with most paranormal cases, the Enfield Poltergeist attracted its fair share of skeptics. Some argued that the Hodgson children, particularly Janet, were faking the phenomena for attention. In fact, during the investigation, Janet admitted to playing pranks on occasion, but insisted that much of what happened was real and beyond her control.
The fact that most of the focuses are adolescents seems to contribute to the mischievous nature of the effects, leading some to suggest that the kids are faking or enjoying a laugh at the expense of the investigators.
Despite the skepticism, Gross and Playfair remained convinced that there was something genuinely paranormal happening in the Hodgson home. They argued that while there might have been some exaggerations, the sheer number of unexplained events and the consistency of witnesses' testimonies pointed to something far more sinister.
It came off the floor, or nearly a half inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
The haunting took a tremendous toll on the Hodgson family. Janet, in particular, was deeply affected, becoming the focal point of much of the activity.
600 voices.
I know the joke.
She would later describe feeling like something was taking control of her, forcing her to speak in that strange voice and act in ways she couldn't understand.
The Enfield Poltergeist menaced that family for 18 months.
Well, you must. I'm sorry, but you must stop annoying this family. You've had a good time. Now please go away.
While the paranormal activity eventually subsided after 2 years, the emotional scars remained for a lifetime. The Enfield Poltergeist case remains one of the most well-documented paranormal cases in history. But even decades later, the case continues to divide opinion. Was it all an elaborate hoax? Or was the Hodgson family truly tormented by something otherworldly? What really happened in that small house in North London? While skeptics may continue to search for logical explanations, the chilling experiences of the Hodgson family and the investigators who witnessed the events firsthand suggest that some things remain beyond our understanding.